I'm going to make this a really kind of brief overview. I have been working at the Senior Center for 17 years. Besides my family, it's probably my favorite thing to talk about is the Senior Center. I obviously love my job and want to share that information with you. Feel free to ask questions. You can interrupt me if you want more details on things. This is very laid back. So this is the Monona Senior Center. Our byline is enhancing the lives of older adults. So back in 1973, the city of Monona started what was called the Senior Commission. And the Senior Commission did exist up until about a couple years ago when it became the Senior Committee. Basically a group of people who make decisions to guide the city council as far as senior programs and services. So that was started in 1973, more as like a group to talk and make decisions for the seniors who live here. In 1980, an actual location was developed, and it was called the Anderson Drop-In Center. It was one room in the Winnequa School right next door here. So it started in one little classroom. That was where the Senior Center started, the Anderson Drop-In Center. In 1987, the Senior Center moved to the Monona Public Library in its lower level before they did their renovation. So they were there for some years. And then in 1993, this building was renovated. This used to be a youth center and the lifeguards office, and they renovated this to Senior Center, Community Center. So that's been our history. We've been here ever since. I'm the only full-time staff, or I was the only full-time staff. I've been saying that for so many years, up until October of this past year when the city agreed that we needed more help. We had only 2 part-time staff with us besides myself. And now we have a full-time program coordinator, Lisa Brooks, who is sitting in the back there. So she's another staff. And Lori has been here 7, 8 years now. She has been a project assistant with us for several years. So this is why I love my job. I work with great people and great visitors to our center. So considering that and what you'll hear about what we offer, we rely very heavily on volunteers, their hours, their service, their energy. In 2018, we had over 150 active volunteers who gave over 20,793 hours of their time. You'll see, yeah, isn't that great? So lucky. And they do all kinds of things for us beyond, I mean, everybody knows about our reception desk volunteers, but some of these volunteers are in the room right now. Foot care clinics, they help deliver newsletters. They make craft items through RSVP, and they give those to those in need. Our seniors will help fill those eggs for the Easter egg hunt, assisting with special events, popcorn, serving as models for the Friends fashion show, serving on boards and committees, the list goes on and on. But basically, beyond things that happen in our office, if a new program is started or somebody wants to start a card group, we do rely on volunteers. They grab the cards, they get the supplies. If all of us were sick one day, this senior center would run without us. I think it would be just fine because the volunteers really take great ownership. And this is your senior center. So we try to make it what you want it to be. So we're a very active center. Just looking at statistics for 2018, we had over 23,707 visits to our center. So that's not individual people, that's if one person comes several times, that contributes to that number. The challenge is space. We have literally 2 rooms, this room and a small room off to the side. When I looked at attendance over the past 10 years, it has increased 48%. So huge increases in the number of people coming. But our program space since 1993 has remained exactly the same. So what do? We have programmed outside our walls. So we use a lot of space upstairs for exercise classes, our huge events like holiday dinners, Thanksgiving dinner. We have now used the Monona Public Library pretty regularly for our programs. And in recent years, we've started programming at the Monona United Methodist Church. So luckily, we have great community partners that allow for us to use their space. And here's a look at this room sometimes, how we pack them in with 90 to 100 people coming to a program. So we could use a wall stretcher anytime soon and make this program space a little bit bigger. So this is a breakdown of attendance based on what types of programs. The pie chart shows you, obviously, a lot of it's social. People are coming here to play cards. This is kind of a social event when you're talking with one another. Education is also a huge draw. People want to know about Medicare and Social Security, health-related items, and things like that. Fitness comes in third. Obviously, sometimes once people retire, fitness is a huge thing that they have added to their free time, right? So we do fitness classes every single day. They include Pilates and stretch and tone, yoga. We have chair-based classes up to pretty challenging classes as well. And then medical. This one is sometimes unclear when people ask, what do you do for medical services? We do foot care clinics, so it's trimming toenails, whether you're diabetic or not, we offer clinics for that. We will do occasional blood pressure checks, or maybe a balance check, things like that. So things just to kind of check in on your wellness.
Are these all free to people that are coming?
So the question was, are these all free to people who are coming? Many of them are. Basically, due to our budget, if something costs us money, like a catered meal or a meal like today, that cost is usually passed along to our participants. Not to make a profit, just to pay for our costs. Unless we have unless we have a sponsor or our friends group has submitted some sort of sponsorship for something like that. We try to keep it as low cost as we can. But one thing to note is our friends group offers scholarships for anybody who would like to come to anything here at the Senior Center. If your reason for not coming is you can't afford it, that's not acceptable. They have a very anonymous application process so that you can continue and come to the Senior Center. When you get your newsletter or pay the dues each year on that application, you have an opportunity to give a donation to the Friends Group above and beyond that $8 or $10 membership fee. That's where those dollars go to, is scholarships for seniors to do exercise classes, come to events like this, whatever that might be. We offered in 2018 1,886 events. So the challenge with that is getting the word out. We work with a generation, many generations, that are from 60 years old, maybe even 50 years old, up to, beyond. So some of them are still reading print newsletters. Some of them are going online. Some of them are listening to the radio. So covering website, all those means, social media, gets more and more challenging. So for us, one of the challenges is with our limited staff, getting the word out to all those different measures and means that people are trying to hear about the Senior Center. We, the Senior Center, do not have case management in-house, and we contract with Newbridge, which you may be familiar with, the East Madison Monona Coalition of the Aging. All the coalitions in Madison have combined or collaborated so that they have kind of it's really efficiency of administration is why they did this. So now the East Madison Monona Coalition of the Aging is under this umbrella Newbridge. So we contract now with Newbridge to offer case management services, home chore coordination, and they also manage the nutrition sites here in our area. So that concept is sometimes hard to understand, but if somebody comes in here needing a case manager, we do need to refer them to Newbridge. Same location is there, so if you have a case manager that you work with at 4142 Monona Drive, they're still there, their offices are still there, same people are still there. So what they tried to do is make it as transparent and simple for their users as possible. What they've changed is their administrative structure. So if you hear Newbridge, that's this umbrella organization that we're talking about. So, and we partner with not only Newbridge, but many, many, many community groups. I was telling Lori and Lisa, I was going to make a slide of all of our community groups, but we do, so we're an accredited senior center. Part of our process is to identify our partners, and it's 2.5 pages of not very large, very small print partners that we work with. There are newsletter advertisers, sponsors for treats for events, there are people who come and help us with all kinds of things, people who give us information, give educational presentations. So it's a village. We all work together to try to serve the needs in our community. All right, so we mentioned this earlier, but we have a friends group. Another entity that we work with is, we're very fortunate to have a vibrant, active Friends of the Monona Senior Center, which is a 501c3 tax-exempt organization. And they're not just a name. These people and volunteers do so much for our community. Little known fact, that organization plans, funds, coordinate the summer concerts here in Monona that happen at Winnequa Park. So they do 4 concerts a year right across the street in this beautiful park that we have. But they get all the bands, they do the sponsorship letters so that it's all funded through community donations, and they run those concerts in the summer. They also do an annual fashion show. See, this is one of those places where mainly women attend that event, but we could use, a few helpers in the kitchen perhaps, but they do an annual fashion show fundraiser, which brings in some funds for them. They help with the Santa's Workshop event that happens here in December. The Parks and Recreation Department have Santa and breakfast and all kinds of stuff upstairs, but our friends group, because one of their missions is to work with intergenerational programming, they do crafts down here for the kids. So make a craft to give as a gift, or just something to, sometimes you need to keep those kids occupied while they're waiting for Santa. So that's been a huge fun event that they do each year. They support the Scholarly Scoop speaker series. UW-Whitewater will bring in professors or presenters to talk about a variety of topics, and we give a stipend, a small stipend to them. They sometimes drive from Whitewater or beyond to speak here, so the Friends completely support that. We talked about the scholarships, so they provide funds for people who need it to participate in senior center programs. And they support entertainment and other speakers here to the senior center. We don't have a lot of discretionary program budget to bring in pricey speakers. So Jessica Mickna, you've seen, she's like a one-woman actress who portrays historical women. Super popular, but sometimes a bit out of our price range when it comes to bringing them in. This is where the Friends group comes in. We say, hey, we'd love to have her, people love her, can you fund that? I always like to give a plug to public transportation. It is not something we run, but it's a great thing to share. We're very lucky in Monona to have this public transportation system. For a small community like ours, to have something like this is a real treasure. Their 2 transportation options are this Monona Express. So if you work downtown or at the UW hospital, you can get a bus ride down in the early morning hours, in the afternoon or evening hours. But the Monona Lift is what most of our participants use. So if you're a Monona resident, it's great. It's door-to-door service within a reasonable area of their fixed route. You give them a call, pretty reasonable, $1.50 per ride, so $3 round trip. Drivers are exceptional. There's nothing like just hopping onto a nice warm bus and let someone else do the driving in January, February. So if you haven't tried it, try it. There's likely going to be a day when, hey, I'd love to go to the grocery store, but the weather's bad, and the Monona Lift is a great option. It'll go like Park Street, come up Atwood and Monona Drive. Here they go over by Southtown and Walmart. So that's kind of a loop. And they'll go up to a quarter mile off of that loop if they need to pick you up or drop you off someplace. So you can get to like Davis, Stewart, and Dean off of Park, those clinics. You can get to the Dean clinic here off of Stoughton Road. So they cannot get you to like the Veterans Hospital, which is, too bad that we can't. Yeah. So it's a little limited, but really a great service for our small community. Beyond that, the Senior Center receives funding through Dane County to provide transportation for some shopping trips and for our low vision support group. So there's a way to get out if you are no longer able to drive. I was speaking to another table about this this morning, but a relatively new initiative we have here in Monona is our Dementia Friendly initiative. In 2015, our City Council approved an amendment or a resolution to support this movement. Many other communities are doing this, but the concept of Dementia Friendly is awareness. Awareness to businesses, to community groups, to our volunteers, our lifeguards do the training. Awareness that there are people out there with dementia and their caregivers, and how to make their experience a little more welcoming. We all probably know somebody who's been touched by this terrible disease, and it gets hard to go out and look at a menu at a restaurant or to check out at the Walgreens. So if all those cashiers and waitresses have just a little bit of knowledge of, hey, if we give them one sheet of the menu instead of 16 pages, it might make their experience a little bit easier. We know that's kind of a long haul sometimes when somebody's diagnosed with dementia. And if we can do something in our community to make it a little bit easier on them, we do what we can. So we've already trained over 30 businesses and groups. We try to do educational sessions and memory screenings throughout the year. So people can get a little education. It really runs the gamut. We want to help caregivers, those maybe dealing with early stages, as well as those who might be the workers in the stores or the bankers. And I just wanted to take this slide to recognize some of the businesses that have gone through the Dementia Friendly training. So all the lifeguards go through the training every year, and city departments have done it, banks. This colorful picture down on the left is that Swad restaurant, the Indian buffet that's up on Monona Drive. So a variety. Walgreens is a huge supporter of educating their staff about those with dementia and their caregivers. So you always hear Monona is the city of pride, right? And I wanted to take a moment to kind of tell you some of the things that make me proud of this wonderful community. So I looked at over the past 10 years, like I mentioned before, and just a summary, the attendance at the Monona Senior Center, like I said, has increased 48% in the past 10 years. The number of programs we offer has increased 81%. So we're offering a lot more. And this is a ridiculous number, but let me tell you, volunteer service at the Senior Center has increased 847%. Now, some of this is due to just better tracking. When we got this My Senior Center system, you all are doing this swipe card, it made it much easier to track volunteer hours beyond just the reception desk. So everybody delivering newsletters and helping out on other off-site programs, they can all log those hours. The other thing that adds to it is our great interns. So Ben Brabender is a intern from Madison College, and he's been here 18 hours a week for one whole semester, and he's about to start another. That's a huge help. He's in the Associate's Program for Human Services at Madison College. And we're not alone. Other senior centers are dealing with lots of increases in numbers and memberships and people who want to volunteer. These young boomers who are just retiring, that's usually how they walk in the door. I want to help. So we put them to work. There's always something to do. And then they usually become participants and keep coming to the center. The Monona Senior Center has been state accredited since 2010. When I started here quite a few years ago, it was one of my goals to go through accreditation. That's a process of just evaluating everything you do. Do you evaluate your programs? Do you work with community partners? How do you get the word out? And then people around the state will come and evaluate all those things that we offer. It's been an important process. It helps me to just give us a check and balance of how are we doing things and what can we improve. We always try to improve a little bit whenever we go through that accreditation process. So as I conclude, I want to offer time for questions, but just share a statement and a thank you. The city of Monona has one of the highest percentages of residents over the age of 65 in Dane County, a fact that we're incredibly proud of. Our seniors not only help hold Monona's history, they contribute to making our community diverse and dynamic. So thank you for being a part of that. You're all part of what makes our senior center what it is, and we'll continue to help it grow and enhance the lives of our older adults.